Hey everybody, this is Freedom is the Right coming to you with a brand new video review. Today we're going to be taking a look at the Studio Series 86 Deluxe Class Blurr. Now this figure hasn't gotten the most love out of the entire first wave of the Studio Series 86 figures, but honestly I really enjoy this guy. He does have a couple of minor flaws which we'll get into later as we go, so without further ado, let's get into it. So here we have Blurr, and he's in his vehicle mode, as you can see, and I really do enjoy the design. It's really sleek, and coming in here you can see the nose cone is done in two different shades of blue here. Coming up to the top you can see this little windshield which is done in a clear plastic, and it has some white sculpted detail behind there. Nice Autobot insignia here on top. And then moving in you can see there is a seat and a little cockpit. Coming up further we have the little fin here, which looks really nice. Some blue paint back here. Coming to the side you can see there is also some nice design elements. It's very faithful to the G1 design. It's pretty much spot on. Coming back here you can see we have some thrusters. And taking a look here at the bottom you can see everything compacts up really well. You don't see any of the robot hanging out, not even his head, which is nice to see. He doesn't roll, obviously, because he doesn't have wheels. He's a hovering, futuristic type vehicle. But he does look really nice. And coming in with his accessories, the first one we're going to take a look at is this. And this one's kind of like a soldering iron type tool that does plug onto his hand in robot mode. And then we also have his blaster, which is molded in a white plastic, and it's really nicely sculpted. Might have been nice to see some paint on it, but it's still a pretty good looking piece. So there is storage for these in vehicle mode. So what we're going to do is we're going to come here to the underside, and there is a tab right here. And we are going to take, there's a slot here, and it's on both sides, so it doesn't matter which side. And you're going to plug it in like that. And now we're going to take this piece here, and this piece does have also tabs on either side, and they're going to plug in to the two holes on either side of this. So there you have that, and those are his weapons stored in vehicle mode if you like to do that. So we can go ahead and take these off and set them to the side for now, and we can get into transformation. So the first thing we're going to want to do is we're going to want to come in here to the seat and just flip that down, and then next we're going to want to come here to the side and pull these pieces out, and these do tab in 3 spots. There's a tab here, here, and back here. And they tab into the slots, one down here, and one back here. And we're going to want to do the same thing on this side too. And just pull that out. So that's how we have that. Now coming to the underside, we are going to want to come and untab the feet, which are plugged into these pieces right here. And you can see there's the tab in there, and the slot here. And we're just gonna clip this in like that. And now we're gonna come and do the same thing to the other one. Untab it and clip that into the side. So now we can go ahead and take these pieces and hinge them all the way up until they clip into place. And there we have that. So now we're gonna turn here to the underside. And what we're going to want to do is unclip all this, which will open up. And you can see there's a little hook that goes in here on both sides, and a tab that comes in right here. And now we can go ahead and fold this entire assembly down, and we can disconnect it. And you can see there's a tab that goes in on this side here, and there's a little hook that goes in on this side here. So now we can go ahead and flip this fin inside, and we can close this back up and close up on the other side too. And now we can go ahead and hinge these feet all the way down. And there we have the lower body done. So now we can go ahead and finish up this part. We're gonna take this, rotate it, so it's sitting like that, and then we can take this whole section, and this reveals the head. We're gonna come down to the back and just push it in so it sits flush against the back like that. Next step, we're gonna go ahead and take a look at these, and we're going to rotate them, and we're going to flip this piece down and rotate it, and now we have his hands revealed here. Can repeat the same process, flip it down, rotate the arms. Oh, and first we do have to rotate this around, I forgot that. All right. And there we have Blurr, and he is all transformed up into his robot mode. So coming in, we are going to want to take a look here at the head. And unfortunately, this is where the first little issue lies for me. The face is fairly nicely done. It's really elongated. Doesn't really match the animation model as far as how his face looks. It's just a little too stretched out. Other than that though, it does look nice. It has some nice white paint on it. There's a nice little yellow detail here at the top of his head. He has the fin, which looks really nice. There's some light piping back here, so if you catch the light, his eyes will glow really nicely. Moving down here to the chest, you can see his Autobot insignia, which looks really great. The nice different shades of blue throughout. He also here on his shin has this white, and for the feet as well, which looks really nice. It's a nice contrast. So turning to articulation now, the head does rotate and rotates all the way around. It can look down very minimally, and it can't really look up at all. And turning to the arm, you can rotate it the full 360. It does hinge outwards. We do have about 90 degrees of bend here at the elbow. We also have elbow rotation. Now coming to the hands, this is the second kind of issue, and there's a couple issues with this to me. So first of all, the wrist rotation is hindered by the fact that this is attached to this back piece here, the fin piece. So you have to pretty much detach it to get any rotation at the wrist. And then on top of that, this piece is just, it's supposed to be there, it's animation accurate, but it sticks out really far. I think it would have been nice if they could have figured out a way to engineer it so it collapsed up a little bit and sat a little further up against the arm so that it didn't look like it was sticking out so far. It makes him look a little bit awkward. But coming down here to the waist, there is waist rotation. We have a bit of thigh swivel here. And then we also can bend the knee. It bends about 90 degrees here. And coming down to the toes don't really hinge back, but due to transformation, they do hinge out really far. And he does have the ankle rocker joints. So yeah, overall this guy is pretty well articulated all in all, and he looks really good. His coloration, the paint, it's nice. It's very accurate to the to the G1 cartoon. And so now we can bring in his weapon. We can arm him up. And we also have this piece here. So we'll start with this, the little soldering iron. And this just has a little thing here that you can port onto his hand. So there's that. Honestly, I don't really use this piece very much, just as a blaster for the most part. It just stays in my baggie of extra parts, to be honest. And then bringing in his gun again, which is really nicely sculpted, as I was saying before. You can port that in, so you can have him armed up and ready to attack. So yeah, that's pretty much it for that. So now we're going to go ahead and bring in some size comparisons for him. So first I'm going to bring in War for Cybertron Kingdom Deluxe Class Huffer. So there is Huffer next to him. You can see how those guys scale together. They look really nice together. The scale seems pretty appropriate to me. Now we're going to bring in Voyager Class Studio Series 86 Hot Rod. And as you can see, those guys are pretty close to the same size, which is pretty much the right scale for these two. Next, I'm going to bring in War for Cybertron Kingdom Voyager Class Inferno. There you can see him. That's how that looks together. And finally, I'm going to bring in War for Cybertron Leader Class Earthrise Optimus Prime. So you can see those two next to each other. So that just about wraps it up for this figure. Honestly, he is another great addition to the collection, which was no surprise considering Studio Series 86 has pretty much knocked everything they've put out of the park so far. He's really G1 accurate, the sculpting is really nice on him. The face sculpt in and of itself isn't the best, but it still does a pretty good job of representing the character. There's the issue with the wrist rotation and the pieces on the side of the arm that I wish could have compacted up a little more. But other than that, this guy really did a great job. And I think I would give him about a 7.5 out of 10, maybe even an 8 could be argued for him. So let me know below what you guys think. Do you agree? Do you not? And until next time, see y'all later.